Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Daily Fantasy Digest Podcast, the all-inclusive podcast where we talk all things fantasy sports to help give you an edge. I am your host, Joe Beer, and once again, we are back with another breakdown. Just going to do a quick recap on yesterday's breakdown. We did go ahead and recommend a Angel stack. Had Cole Calhoun as a dinger of the day call, hit a dinger in the second inning, ended up going out for 21 fantasy points. If you went ahead and stacked Ohtani and Listella as well, Ohtani ended up hitting a homer as well, had 25 fantasy points, and Listella had roughly 7. So it's roughly putting us in cash right now. Miley did struggle a little bit, but Maeda is doing all right as well, and it looks like the Oakland A stack is doing well. Matt Olson's already driven in 3 runs, and that is going well. So I hope everybody took that advice and made some money here today. But we have a massive 15-game slate on our hands here for this Tuesday, June 18th slate. A lot of high-priced pitching options and not that many good pitching options when you look lower into the pool here. So you're really going to have to pick and choose bat stacks wisely because there are a lot of expensive ones on the slate. But without further ado, I want to go ahead and jump right into this and get you this information as fast as possible and not beat around the bush here. So 4 guys over 10K, DeGrom, Hamels, Kershaw, and Verlander. I would assume in cash games Verlander is going to be absolute chalk going against Cincinnati, but I'm not interested. Kershaw as well. I do like attacking San Francisco's offense, but I'm not interested in Kershaw at 11.2K. He seems more of a 10.2K type of pitcher, but the matchup is putting him so much higher in price. But there's one guy that I am very interested about, and being a massive Chicago fan, Cole Hamels just seems to stick out here going up against the White Sox in Wrigley Field. 10.5K is a little high price, but at the recent matchups and the recent pitching performances in Colorado, pitched 9Ks, shutout. St. Louis before that, shutout as well with 10Ks. At home, he's just been incredible this whole year. So I really just want to go ahead and target Hamels as he's currently getting into his groove. Not interested in DeGrom going up against Atlanta. Atlanta's been too hot lately. And these mid-price guys are just really weird to me. Brandon Woodruff is priced at 9.3K going up against San Diego, which is a pretty good matchup. But Woodruff has had his struggles as of recent. Flaherty's price is very accurate based on the matchup, but just a little too high for me to be on him. I don't want to touch Corbin at 8.2K because I have a feeling that game could get rained out. And now we get into the range that is really a little gross, but there's one player that really stands out to me at 7.8K here, and that's Adrian Sampson. Going up against Cleveland, who we know is just a high K percentage team, and Sampson has just been on a roll as of recent. He had a 21-15, a 35, and a 38. Tailed off here at a 4-point performance, but he was in Fenway Park. But gets a very good matchup here against Cleveland Indians that I think is just very favorable, and it's just going to be a very good value play that's going to open up a lot of options as far as bats. If you didn't want to go Sampson, there's only one guy I'd recommend going lower, and that's Brett Anderson here. It's just consistent. Roughly 10 fantasy points for games gives you that potential upside you need for some more bats at 6.2K. But I'd rather take the K upside in Sampson here, who has been a K machine in these prior games, even throwing 11 Ks against Kansas City, and then 7 following it in Oakland. So I have a good feeling in Sampson today, as well as Hamels. So let's jump right into these bat stacks. There's 3 that really stand out to me. I'm just going to get out of the way here that the Arizona-Colorado team is going to be absolutely chalk. I will mention a team from that game, but whenever those teams are on the slate and they're playing each other, it's always going to be chalk. But I'm interested here in the Chicago Cubs going up against Ivan Nova in Wrigley Field. If it is a windy day tomorrow and the wind is blowing out, it is just going to be an absolute hitter's dream. So leading off, I would love to lock in Kyle Schwarber going up against the righty. I think Schwarber here is just going to be incredible play, and he's been heating up as of late. Has a homer in the past 4 games, 2 in the past 5. Heated up here against Colorado and Los Angeles. Would like to get Rizzo in, but 5.1K is just a little steep. He's been playing absolutely incredibly well. 2 homers in the past 4 games. Just been hitting out of his mind. So I would like to get those in if I can. But another player I'd like to mention here is Jason Hayward. 4K is just a little low for where he's hitting in the lineup and how well he's playing. So I'd like to get Jason Hayward in there as well. And then if you do have the cap space, another player that I really do like is Javi Baez. at 4.6K. His price is just getting so low because of how terrible he's been playing lately. So Javi Baez seems a little too good to be true for me here. So 3 players from the Cubs seems to be good for me. It leaves you roughly 3.7K for the rest of the stacks. Now, I will mention, if you did pivot off the Cubs, who are my favorite team to stack, Diamondbacks just make a really appealing stack to me tomorrow, but you're not going to be able to get there with 2 high-priced pitchers or even a high price in the middle tier guy, seeing as the prices are just through the roof. I mean, if we just take a look at Ketel Marte's numbers over the past 4 games, hitting out of his mind, 3 homers in the past 2 games. Just been playing incredibly well. Same with Escobar. Dyson has the stolen K upside. So, there's not too many. The only player I'd be really interested in here is Vargas, who's a 4K switch hitter. I think that he hits middle of the pack and is pretty well off. But I'm not interested in Arizona. I like to find my edge elsewhere. That is going to be targeting Yusei Kikuchi on Seattle. Few guys here really stick out to me that don't make any sense. Jorge Soler, 4.4K. Definitely want to go ahead and get in Cuthbert, and if you can, Whit Merrifield. Now, I know what you're thinking. This roughly leaves you with 2.9K. This is very manageable. If you just scroll down, there's always catchers that are probably going to play tomorrow, like Maldonado. I would even play, Austin Hedges plays tomorrow. It gives you 3.5K for a third baseman. And there's plenty of options at 3.5K that you can go ahead and pick from. Camargo, Adrianza going up against Price. These are pretty much flyer plays. You can get Brett Anderson going up against Flaherty. You can get any of these guys. But I really think making it mandatory to get at least Whit Merrifield in, who's just been on an absolute incredible run and is only 4.8K going up against Kikuchi, who, if we just go back and look at Kikuchi's numbers from recent, 3 out of the past 4 games have been negative. He's just been getting shelled. He gave up 6 runs in 3 innings in 2 of the games with 4 in the other one. He had a decent start against the Twins, made it to 5 innings, but still only put up 12 fantasy points, gave up 6 hits and an earned run. So I have no faith in Kikuchi at all, and I have all of the faith in this entire Kansas City lineup. If we just look at Jorge Soler, he's just been absolutely incredible at a homer in the past 4 games. Going up against Kikuchi, who's a lefty and just throws straight fastballs. So I really want to target the Royals here as a pivot stack off of Arizona or Colorado. So if you're looking at the lineup here right now, this is roughly what my lineup's going to look like tomorrow. If you see 2.9K per player and that scares you, don't worry. Like I said, you can scrape the barrel with somebody like Jeff Mathis tomorrow, who will probably start. And just all he needs is a double to reach value or even a single to get you something. And even if you plug him in, you have 3.8K to go ahead and work with, which is more than enough for a third baseman. You can get somebody like Vlad Guerrero, Matt Carpenter, David Fletcher. Any of these guys are well off. It's just a plug-in. But I think 3 from Kansas City and 3 from Chicago really make the most sense. I'm a big fan of Baez to turn it around as his price just keeps dipping, and 4.6K is a little too low for all the upside that Baez brings. Schwarber leading off as a lefty going up against Nova just screams leadoff homer to me. And then Hayward, middle of the pack as well, usually hits 5 spot, could just provide some incredible upside as well. And then Kansas City, Whit Merrifield should be a stolen base machine. Cuthbert has just been hitting incredibly well lately. And then Jorge Soler, who is just a power slugger, who I think is going to be an incredible spot tomorrow. Another player I do want to note on Kansas City, if you do have the cap space, is going to be, let's see here, Jorge Bonifacio. He's coming back and activated off the DL. He's only 3.4K at outfield, been hitting in the 3 spot. So if you want to, pivot off of Hayward and go Bonifacio, you can, potentially fit in some other players in third or catcher, or wherever you'd like. But for me, I'm leaning towards Hayward tomorrow and then going really scrappy at catcher to try and get close to that 4K range for a third baseman. So with that being said, this is roughly what my lineup's going to look like tomorrow. I think going Cole Hamels as a pivot off of Verlander and Kershaw is going to be the way to go. He provides the same upside just for $1,000 cheaper. Adrian Sampson, who has just been incredibly well. I don't normally speak on Sampson enough, but but I think this matchup against Cleveland just suits him well enough to put up a 20-point performance. And then as far as bats, stacking Chicago Cubs going up against Nova and Kansas City Royals going up against Yusei Kikuchi are just my ways to go as a pivot off of Arizona. I think this is going to be the cheapest pivot and the most effective one to avoid scrappy pitching because pitching is the most important thing on this slate, in my opinion. So, if you did enjoy this, please go ahead and leave a like and comment on the video if you did enjoy this. Subscribe to the channel on Apple and YouTube. It really helps and appreciate all the support. If you wouldn't mind going over to Twitter and giving us a follow at @FantasyDigest_. Stay up to date with all the tweets that we tweet out prior to lock, as well as any tweets tweeting out the videos, just in case you might have missed them. Appreciate all the support we've been getting lately. We'll be continuing this entire week with breakdowns and interviews, so stay tuned for that. And if you haven't, go ahead and check out my interview that just aired last Friday. Really guarantee you'll enjoy that, and hope that you enjoyed yesterday's breakdown that provided a winning lineup if you would have taken it exactly from the video. So with that being said, we'll be back on Wednesday with another breakdown, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, peace.